All right, it is 1 o'clock. I assume that I can be heard here. Is that correct, Kim? Can you give me a...
Loud and clear.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. All right, first of all, I want to thank everybody for attending today's Act 211 Uniform Dwelling Code eSLA training webinar. My name is Mike McNally. I'm with the Wisconsin Department of Safety and Professional Services. I am a section chief overseeing the Uniform Dwelling Code, or otherwise known as the UDC program. The reason for today's webinar is to provide you, meaning the municipalities, an overview of the Act 211 UDC permitting system moving into the department's electronic safety and licensing application, or otherwise known as eSLA. Please note, today's presentation is being recorded, which will be available on the department's website. So if you need to refer back to this presentation, you'll be able to do so in the future. Before I dive into the overall presentation today, I want to give you just a high-level overview of today's agenda. We're going to first start with just a brief overview of introductions. I'm not actually going to turn the mic over, but I'll just let everybody on the call today know who is here from the department's aspect. The next item is I'm just going to give a little bit of a historical context of the Act 211, predominantly about the legislation, and as well as the system that has been created because of that legislation. Then we'll move into an overview of the department's initiative to move into the eSLA system. And then I will talk a little bit about how the Act 211 is going to be migrated over into the eSLA system, including talking about the overall timelines which affect a good majority of the people that are on today's call. Then we're going to provide just a high-level overview or demo of the new Act 211 system. It's going to be high level. We're not going to go into the nitty-gritty details of actually pulling a permit and showing how to approve or deny a permit. And I'll get into that when the time comes. Then we're going to provide to you as municipalities where you'll be able to find particular job aids and user guides associated with the Act 211 system moved over into the eSLA system. Then we'll provide you some contact information to assist you in your municipality for not only your individual permit holders, and these would be homeowners as well as dwelling contractors, but also who you can also contact here at the department to help you with this transition. We are then going to open the floor for some questions, and then of course we'll round out the presentation or close out the presentation. Today's webinar the presentation is being used by the platform called GoToWebinar. Now we do have well over 170 attendees today, and so during the presentation, if you do have any questions, I ask that you use the questions feature on the GoToWebinar, and that should be located right in your screen for you on your desktop that you're actually seeing this webinar. You can certainly type in your questions, and we will try and address those questions at the questions time. So please hold your questions till then. You can certainly submit the questions at any point in time. However, we probably will not get to the question until we actually are at that point in the presentation. Now, there is a feature about raising your hand. We'll try and monitor that, but with the sheer amount of attendees, I don't know if it's going to be possible that we'll be able to open the mic and allow you to speak. We'll do our best what we can. Today's presentation is an hour and a half, and we're going to stick to that hour and a half. If time does run out and we can't answer all the questions, at some point in time, we will try to do our best to answer those questions in some form of an FAQ or some other document that we can put the questions as well as the department's answers to those questions available on our UDC website page for you as municipalities to go back and look at those questions. Again, obviously the presentation will be recorded today, so you can also look at the questions that were asked as well as answers provided for this presentation. All right. We'll first start with just brief introductions. Again, my name is Mike McNally. I'm a section chief with the Wisconsin Department of Safety and Professional Services overseeing the UDC program. Joining us today is Lenny Cantor, who is a UDC consultant for the department. Now, most of you that are probably on the call today, at least as inspectors, have probably worked with Lenny. Lenny is here as a resource to answer any questions, if any questions do come up associated with the UDC code itself. We also have Etta Stry, who is a program and policy analyst with the department. She's been helping out with the Act 211 system moving into eSLA. And we also have a number of other department employees as well on the call today. In addition to that, we do have in attendance the department's IT vendor that has been partnered with the department to develop the eSLA system, most notably the Act 211 system moving into eSLA, and that is Deloitte. Deloitte is on staff today to address any questions or concerns you guys might have from a technical aspect. So if there's any questions that that I feel that they can answer, I'll just open the mic to them and they could pretty much address the question, and if it's pertaining to the programming aspects of the Act 211 system. All right, moving into just, I'm going to just give you a historical context of Act 211 itself, because some of you in attendance today probably are maybe some new inspectors, or maybe you're just new clerks and don't know a whole lot about the Act 211 itself or that piece of legislation. So before I dive into Act 211, let me first give you a little bit of history of what Act 211 means. Now, most of you on the call are probably aware, but the Act 211 electronic building permit system was developed by the department based on the 2015 Wisconsin Act 211, which was passed by the legislature and signed into law by the governor on March 1st, 2016. The law requires municipalities or their agents to provide their UDC permit information electronically to the department through the electronic system. Now, at the time the law was written, or that particular act actually references a statute 101.65. So if you ever want to go back and take a look at that piece of legislation, you can go and look at that statute and you can see the history of why that statute was created under that particular act. Now, the act requires that the UDC permits be submitted to the department by the 15th of the first month after the permit has been issued. If a municipality fails to submit the permit by the required time after the permit was issued, then a refund of the amount paid of the building permit, minus of course the UDC fee, seal fee, shall be given back to the permit applicant. And this could be either the homeowner or the dwelling contractor, whoever the applicant of the permit was. Now, in order to ensure compliance of the Act 211 system, municipalities must contact the department UDC staff to obtain access codes and choose the method by which they want to submit this information directly to the department, this UDC permit information. Now, at the time the legislation was passed, all municipalities had to sign up by January 2nd, 2018. Most of the municipalities, probably most of them that are in attendance today, have already been signed up for the Act 211 system. They're already using it today. They've already established what option they are particularly using. Now, just to give it a little historical context again, when the act was created, the department created 3 different options for the municipalities to submit the data electronically. Option 1, which is why the municipalities that are here on today's presentation are here, is because they are using option 1. Option 1 allows applicants, again, these are dwelling contractors or homeowners, to file permits electronically to the municipality through the UDC permit system. This means a dwelling contractor or homeowner goes onto a website, fills out a permit, submits it, and then it gets submitted directly to the municipality. The municipality predominantly probably the UDC building inspector, goes in and approves or denies that permit. Once they approve or deny it, option 1 allows that approval or denial to automatically meet the provisions of that statute or act. Option 2 is where a municipality may use an Excel template to upload their data, meaning that some of these smaller municipalities probably still have a paper UDC permit where the applicant fills out the permit on paper and submits it to the municipality. The municipality then takes all of that permit data from the paper copy and uploads it to the Excel template. The Excel template is then submitted to the department through what's known as the Municipal workspace. Option 3 is where municipalities that incorporate their own computerized filing system or permit system, could be their own homegrown IT developed system. It could be a third-party software where they issue their permits through that system. The department has created what's known as an application programming interface, or otherwise known as an API, which then bridges that electronic data information directly from the municipality's IT computer software or their third-party software vendor. So during the development of that particular, or when that piece of legislation came out, the department offered these 3 different options to all the 1,800 plus municipalities across the state of Wisconsin. So most of you probably in today's presentation are probably familiar with it. Again, some of you that are probably new to this probably weren't even aware of what Act 211 is or why it was, what the name came from. Well, it came from that piece of legislation. And of course, the department created these different options. Now, I want to kind of sidestep a little bit and talk about a little bit about the overview of the department's initiative moving into what's known as the eSLA system. The department offers a multitude of different programs for construction activities across the state of Wisconsin. And most of you probably know this. However, these services include things like commercial building plan review, elevator plan review, electrical permitting, amusement park rides, boiler permits, credentialing, licensing. We offer a whole slew of these different programs across the state of Wisconsin. Well, over the years, all of these services that we provide to not only municipalities like yourselves, but also individual contractors who require plan reviews or require permits, we had a whole series of very old, antiquated computer programs. Some of them dated back to the 1980s. So as part of a multi-year initiative, the development of a long-term goal to move all of these programs into one system to manage all of these services that the department does for construction activities, as well as upgrade its technology into one end-all system that we can manage all of these things and house everything. This multi-year initiative has been broken down into multiple phases, and each of those phases have multiple releases. The department partnered with an IT vendor to help facilitate this moving of a lot of our antiquated systems into one system. That partner is Deloitte, and Deloitte has developed, has used a program called Salesforce, and collectively we are calling it the Electronic Safety and Licensing Application, or otherwise known as eSLA. Now, currently, the department is wrapping up phase 1, and we're actually in the last release of that phase. The last release of that particular phase is to move the Act 211 system over into eSLA. Now, just so that I make sure I put some minds at ease here, because I know this is probably going to be one of the biggest things on your guys' minds, is that it should be noted that the functionality that you guys are using today for the Act 211 system, meaning that you are having your homeowner or dwelling contractor actually go onto a system, I'll go onto a website, pull a permit, and then of course you in the back office or the municipal workspace actually approve or deny those permits. That same look and feel that you're doing today is not going to change when we go over to eSLA. However, there are a few exceptions to this, but for most of the system, it's going to look the same. It's going to feel the same exact features that you're doing today in terms of approval of a permit, denial of a permit, looking at the same information, such as, for example, looking for the plumbing contractor or the electrical contractor or master electrician or master plumber. You're still seeing that same exact information. So the same look and feel that you're doing today, it's just in a different program. So I just want to make sure that you guys understand that we took the best effort to make sure that the same look and feel that you're doing today is in the same look and feel that you'll see in the eSLA system. Now, moving on to the actual Act 211 system itself, moving into eSLA, there are some.
Mike?
Yeah, sorry.
Yes,
ahead,
I'm
John.
sorry. Before you get any further, this is John. Mike, I just wanted to ask if you're sharing anything on your screen as of yet.
No, I am not, John.
Okay, good. I've been getting some questions in the question section, and I just wanted to make sure that that was the case.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yep, sorry, I don't have anything to share. We will when we do a demo. Right now, it appears I still don't see. Oh, yep, that did show up. Okay. Thank you, John, for that. Sorry, we are not sharing anything at this point in time. Now moving on to the actual Act 211 system and the migrating over into eSLA. And there are just some critical things that I want to make sure that you guys take note of. Now, for all of you municipalities that are using option 1, this means a couple things that should be noted. The first and foremost thing is that the eSLA or the Act 211 system that you are currently using today, and please make note of this, and I'll repeat it. The system you are using today will be shut down on the evening of July 15th. So it will be shut down on July 15th. The new Act 211 system that gets moved over into eSLA will be open and operational on July 19th. This means there will be a shutdown period. Now, there's reasons for this. One, we need to migrate all of the existing permit data, all the existing information, the whole works over into the new eSLA system. So this means that if you have any contractors, any homeowners that are currently working on any permits that were started but not finished before July 15th, then you as municipalities, predominantly probably the inspectors, will have to provide a new link to the permit for your customers. Now, we can show you where that information is at when we get to the demo, but you're going to have to provide your customers a new link. The second thing is that all of your submitted permits that you have not approved yet, all the ones that have been submitted prior to July 15th by a customer, whether this is a homeowner or dwelling contractor, they will be available to you to approve or deny in the new system on July 19th. So those are two main things that I want to make sure that you understand, is that there will be a shutdown period from July 15th to July 19th. And so you need to take that in consideration. It may be within your best interest, if you do know of a contractor or you do know of a homeowner working on a permit, it's probably within your best interest to let them know that they should probably finish their permit by July 15th. And or subsequently, you could probably try and approve that permit before July 15th. If you can't, again, those submitted permits will be available in the new eSLA system on July 19th. In addition to that, all your existing permit data, all your existing permits that you're currently working on or currently under construction or even have finished, you've issued an occupancy permit or you finalized your inspections, all those existing approved permits will be available in the new system, just like it is today. You can go in and see which permits you've submitted, which ones have been submitted, which ones have been approved, which ones have been denied for that matter. all your permit data will still be available in the municipal workspace. Now, the link or the URL that you as a municipality provide to your customers on your municipality website will change. So please make note of this. So if you have a link that you provide to, again, dwelling contractors or homeowners on where they can go to fill out a permit, that link will change. So please make note of that. So if you need to change anything on your municipality's website, there will have to be a new URL provided for that. In addition, if you have a link to, say, the Act 211 website or the municipal workspace on your internet browser, such as a favorite, then you will have to change and create a new favorite to those particular websites, meaning that the URLs will change. So if you already have a favorite today for your municipal workspace, you have a favorite for the Act 211 permit system for an applicant to fill out, those will change if you have them saved as a favorite. Now, one important note, and this is probably one of the most important notes, is the fact that since we are moving the entire Act 211 system over into what's known as Salesforce, which is collectively known as eSLA, it is highly recommended that you, as well as any of your permit applicants, use Chrome. Safari or Firefox will also work in terms of an internet browser, but it should be noted that Internet Explorer or Microsoft Edge will not work. So I repeat, an Internet Explorer or Microsoft Edge will not work in the new system. Again, it's highly recommended that you use Chrome. However, Safari and Firefox will work as well. So please keep that in mind. If you are working with a dwelling contractor or a homeowner that's trying to pull a permit and they can't get through, it probably has to do with their internet browser. So Chrome is the recommended. However, again, Safari or Firefox will work. Internet Explorer and Microsoft Edge will not. So please make note of that. All right. Now we move into just, we're going to provide a high-level demo of the new Act 211 system. Etta, are you on?
I am. Yep.
Okay. All right. Etta, can you share your screen and take over?
Maybe.
Mike, I have to change Etta to the presenter, or she can do it herself, but I think it'd be faster. I'll just go ahead and throw it down.
Yes, please.
Okay.
You should be seeing the new options now.
All right. Can you see my screen?
Yep, I can see it.
Can you see my internet? I have eSLA up. Can anybody see that?
I cannot.
Etta, we're seeing looks like kind of an army green. There you go.
There you go.
Now it's
Okay.
coming up.
Okay. All right. Just grab my notes. All right. So this page that I have up here is the main landing page for eSLA. If you follow any of the links on the DSPS website, it'll take you to this landing page. One thing to note is that for other programs, applications, credentials, mostly commercial items, a login is required. But for UDC permits, a login is not required. So if anybody finds themselves on this page, please note that a login, you do not need to log in to access the UDC portion of eSLA. So if a customer finds themselves on this page, a customer or an inspector finds themselves on this page, you can bypass the login by using the links up here. This Uniform Dwelling Code Permits link is the link that customers will use to fill out an application. As you can see, this first screen is, it's very similar to the existing system, and this is just the cautionary warning information that a customer would need to read and accept to move on to the application. Click here to start. And I won't walk you through the whole application process for the customer. I just wanted to show you that those steps are exactly the same as the existing system. And then this just goes into step 1, just like the existing system, the same information is required. And once they pick their municipality for their project, this will populate with the inspector and clerk information for that municipality. The next save and exit is this, again, it's very similar to the existing system. Save and exit just allows the customer to come back to the application at a later date. Next just takes them through. So this is all very, very similar to the existing system. Now, as an inspector or a municipality, if you find yourself on this page, you would bypass the login by going to UDC Municipal Login up here at the blue bar. So you might consider bookmarking this page directly, or providing customers, as Mike was saying before, providing customers with the link directly to the application page. But if you follow any of the links on the DSPS site, it'll take you to that landing page. So as a municipality or an inspector, you'll need to access the municipality workspace to review applications and permits, sometimes referred to as in the back office. The municipality workspace terminology, however, I believe that was in the existing system. And it's accessed through something called an access code, which our existing system does as well. And as I understand it, the access code that you currently use for the Act 211 system will remain in effect when you move to eSLA. So we're not assigning new access codes. You should be able to use your existing code. We can just go in to one and take a quick look at it. So if you are the city of Shawano, you've used your access code to enter the municipality workspace. You can filter using the date or any of these other items. And you can look at applications that have been submitted, pending. The statuses are the same as the existing system. So filing equates to a pending application. Received means the application was filed or submitted. And submitted means the inspector has reviewed and approved of the permit. All of that is the same. To look at an application, you manage permit, and you can do whatever you need to do here. Again, I can't say this enough. This is very similar to the existing system. If information is missing, you can go back and enter it yourself. You can deny and delete an application. One thing that Mike touched on before is if you have to provide a link to a pending application to a customer, every time a customer we looked at that save and exit button. If they decide to save and exit their application and not finish it in one sitting and come back to it at a later date, they'll be emailed a link so that they can access the application later. In the event that they lose that email, you might need to come here and click this link for them, and it will just send them an email address. And that's one of the reasons that an email address for the applicant is required. We received some questions about that, but an email for the applicant is required so that they can access their application if they need to. We also talked about let's see, what did we talk about? We talked about approving and denying a permit. So you cannot approve a permit if all of the required information isn't entered into the application. That is similar to the existing system as well. Another thing to note is if you deny or delete an application, that's a permanent action. So if you deny or delete an application, you cannot undeny it or undelete it. It's gone for good and the customer is going to have to submit a new one. I believe that's kind of it for high level. We don't want to walk you through every step because it is just so similar to the existing system. Trying to think. In your municipality workspace, you also have an option for manage settings. There's not a lot you can do here, but this is where you would go to edit the clerk information or the inspector information. It's as easy as using that link, filling out the information, and pressing save. I believe that is it for our high-level walkthrough.
Etta, this is John again. I just wanted to have you state again that there will be some materials that we will be posting on the website that will provide steps for folks as well as some job aids to help assist them through the process. Is that correct?
Yes, definitely. Yep.
Okay. Well, Etta, why don't you just keep the screen up for now, just in case we do get any questions here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So moving on to the next item, which John from our department kind of mentioned in one of the questions from the municipality is job aids and user guides. Now, as you can see, the system is very similar to what you guys are doing today. Again, the only thing really major that changes is the actual URL, the websites for not only the permit applicant, but also the municipal workspace or your quote unquote back office. Currently, the department is still working with its partner Deloitte in the development of the job aids and user guides. And we are working tirelessly to make sure that all of those job aids and user guides for all of the things that you're seeing today are going to be available on our UDC website. Now, most of you inspectors that are on the call today, and probably some of the clerks, are probably very familiar with the UDC website. You can go to dsps.wi.gov and you can click on programs, A to Z program list, and then click on 1 and 2 family UDC page. And on that page, it will have a series of job aids, not only for a job aid for your dwelling contractor, but also a homeowner if they're willing to, if they're going to pull a permit. Again, it's the same exact look and feel that they're doing today. Really hasn't been any major changes. It's just that they got to go to a different website to do it. And what Etta showed you today is exactly what the job aid is going to show. It's going to show how an applicant can go through and fill out a permit and submit it. In addition, we're going to have job aids and user guides for you guys as municipal officials, inspectors, and clerks on how you can go into the municipal workspace and again approve that permit or deny that permit. So the same look and feel that you're kind of doing today is going to be the same. It's just that we're going to have it in a different URL, and we'll have job aids appropriately denoting all of those any minor changes such as the website location. However, we don't have the job aids and user guides fully done yet. My anticipation is that we should have these up before July 15th. That is our goal, so that you have those available to you. So please check back probably next week sometime to view to make sure that those job aids and user guides are available to you. Again, the department is working with its third-party vendor, Deloitte, to finalize and tweak those particular job aids. We're also working on job aids for the option 2 and the option 3 municipalities as well. We're hoping to have all those job aids available on our website prior to the shutdown period of July 15th so that you can kind of become accustomed to those job aids and review them for your municipality, as well as which job aids you will be providing to your individual customers. Now, when we go live with this whole thing, or even prior to that, I know that there may be a lot of questions. The department is anticipating that. We anticipate we'll probably have questions not only from you guys as inspectors, but potentially clerks as well about this whole system and whether the new website or using Chrome or whatever questions or concerns you might have. The UDC program is always available to assist with questions and concerns that you guys might have. Now, most of you probably are pretty much familiar with our two UDC staff members, Jack Wetruba and Lenny Cantor. Both of them are available to answer any questions. They may not have the answer to the question, but they'll work internally with either myself, Ed Estrai, who is presenting today, or Deloitte, or any of our other IT staff to answer the question appropriately. Again, most of you are probably pretty familiar with them. If you're not, you can always go back to that UDC webpage, and their contact information is there, their email, their phone. We also have a UDC tech box email address, so you can always ask the questions there. Both Jack and Letty monitor those on a pretty regular basis, pretty much daily basis. They monitor the questions that come in from the tech box. Some of you inspectors are pretty familiar with it because you do submit a lot of questions to that tech box, which Jack and Lenny do answer. And so if you do have any questions about the eSLA system or Act 211 moving over into eSLA, you can certainly submit your questions there too as well. One additional thing I want to point out is that on the eSLA website, there is also a help desk number of 608-266-2112, which is actually on the screen too, as you can see. You can call that number, or you can email what's known as the eSLA support at wisconsin.gov email address. We have a whole team of people monitoring that individual email inbox on a daily basis for all sorts of our program areas. Not just UDC, but we're also, we've moved over our commercial buildings, electrical, fire suppression, fire alarm, POUTS. We've moved a number of other programs already into eSLA. So a lot of those customers have questions about eSLA in general. Well, it could be something as simple as, how do I fill out an application? How do I log in? How do I tie myself to a business? Blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of other questions that we have a whole team of people answering. So we have multiple contacts available to you, most of them that you're already familiar with today, such as Jack and Lenny in the UDC tech box. However, the whole point I want to make here is that if you do have any questions, you have multiple means to ask us any questions through those particular contacts. So if you have any questions, we'll do our best to answer the questions. We may not be able to get an answer to you right away, but we'll get an answer to you at some point. Now, with that being said, we are working tirelessly to make sure that the system is up and running for all of you as municipalities by July 19th. That's our goal, that's our mission. So we are trying to do our best to make sure all of the job aids, the user guides, the websites changed, points of contact. We're trying to do our best to make sure we get everything. So just be a little patient. If we can't get back to you right away, we will get back to you if you have any questions or concerns about the Act 211 system moving over into eSLA. So that really concludes all of the things that I wanted to talk about today or present to you guys as option 1 municipalities. I have now opened the floor for any questions. The only concern I have here is, Kim, I cannot see the questions. So, or Kim or John, I may need your guys' help because I can't see them. I unfortunately cannot.
Okay, Mike, I've got 2 questions that have not been answered as of yet. So far, the other questions have been pretty straightforward, but one of the questions I have is an eSLA submittal required for all permits or only new builds?
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about. So, yeah, and I probably should have spelled this out during the historical context of the Act 211 piece of legislation. So the Act 211 piece of legislation specifically stated that this permit data is only supposed to be for new 1 or 2 family dwellings. That's it. New 1 or 2 family dwellings. However, a little caveat to that is that we designed the system so that you as a municipality can also use this system, and this only pertains to option 1 municipalities. That's only option 1. Option 1 municipalities can also use the system for additions or alterations. So if they want to have the permit applicant submit a permit online for an addition to their home, or they're renovating a bedroom or something like that, they can also use this system to approve or deny those permits. However, that permit data is not submitted to the department because it's not a new 1 or 2 family dwelling. So I'm assuming that will probably answer that person's question.
Thanks, Mike. The next question that I have is when the new URLs will be available.
We are hoping to have the new URLs available the time we post the job aids and user guides to the website. Right now, currently, just as a just for informational purposes, what Etta is showing on her screen right now is what's known as a pre-production environment. It's basically an environment that we go in and test the system, and it's the pre-prod stands for pre-production. So it's not a live public website at this point in time. Myself and the other UDC staff are testing the system in what's known as a pre-production environment. Our Deloitte team developed this so that we could basically go in and, for lack of better phrasing, break the system. So we're still in the pre-production environment. And when we get the job aids developed and put them on the website, they will have links to the actual production live environment. All right, John, is that all the questions so far? Or Kim, is everyone monitoring the questions?
No, I'm sorry. I've got more coming in, and they are coming in quite quickly. So bear with me just a moment here.
You bet.
All right, the next question I have is, what is considered the correct printed hard copy of the permit to give the applicant?
Corrected printed copy.
What is considered the correct printed hard copy of the permit to give the applicant?
I'm not sure if I fully understand that question. Lenny, do you have any idea how to answer that question? I'm not sure if Lenny is.
Let me see if I can have the person who asked that question. Let's see. Trying to unmute that person. All right, while we're working on that, let me get into the next question I've got here. Will there be training like this available for contractors and applicants?
Unfortunately, no. The only, like I stated before, the same look and feel that your contractors and homeowners are doing today is basically the same exact thing like Ada kind of showed you. We didn't walk through a full permit and start to finish, but it's the same exact questions, same everything that your applicants are doing today. Again, we're going to have a job aid that's it'll be in a PDF format, and it'll be a step-by-step job aid that kind of shows the permit applicant what to do exactly. But no, we don't intend to have any training for contractors on how to submit a permit other than the job aid itself. And so you as a municipality can refer your homeowners and dwelling contractors right to that job aid.
Okay, to get back to the previous question here, a process permit copy needs to go to the applicant when completed. They indicated that they have to provide them with something. I guess the additional responses I'm getting from this person is not as clear to me. I'm sorry, David. It's.
Can I jump in here? Because I think I understand David's question.
Please do.
Yeah, go ahead.
As you go through the approval process in the municipality workspace, you'll fill out this approval information, which will end up on the permit. And then you'll have this option to download permit cardstock, and that will provide you with this permit. And this is what you provide to the customer. So the customer cannot access this permit on their own. You must send this to them. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, the next question I've got are, the person's asking about changes for municipalities using option 2, and I believe that that is going to be the topic of tomorrow's webinar. Is that correct?
Correct. I mean, I can briefly explain the major changes with option 2, and I'll get into the details of that tomorrow. But the major change, and this is probably the only major change, is the fact that we're not doing an Excel template any longer. It's going to be in a CSV format, and I won't go into the details of that until tomorrow.
Okay, the next question I've got, I'm sorry, Amelia, but I did not get enough details here. You said so on the 20th. I'm not sure exactly what that means.
Oh,
The changes in the system. Go ahead.
I'm not sure who is answering that. I think I understand this question. I think they're saying, so we won't be able to access it till the 20th. And that is incorrect. You will be able to open it up on the 19th on Monday morning. I guess Deloitte, maybe Mike or Ryan, do you know if there's a specific time on the 19th that will be available? I don't even know if they're able to answer or not. But I think the answer to the question is no, you'll be able to access the new system on the 19th, on the Monday morning of the 19th. Did you hear that, John?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And that is my understanding as well, is it is supposed to be available Monday morning, the 19th. All right, let's see if I can get to some of these other questions here. There's a question for somebody with regards to option 3. They're looking for some information on that.
Yeah, and option 3 will be talked about on Friday. So I recommend you sign up for that webinar. We'll be talking about option 3, municipalities that are using their own third-party software.
And again, all of the webinars are being recorded and will be available starting early next week. Please see our website for that information, and we will try to provide that to all the participants as well. The next question I have is, will the municipal access codes be the same?
Yes, they will be the same exact codes that you're using today. That's a great question. I probably should have mentioned that. So yes, and I think Etta touched on it a little bit during her presentation, but the access codes that you guys are using today to access the Act 211 system will be the same exact access codes in the new system.
Thank you, Mike. All right. So when a permit is issued, a paper application is no longer required. Is that correct?
I'm not sure. So when the permit is, what did you say again? I'm sorry. Can you repeat that question?
So when sure. Tracy's question is, so when a permit is issued, a paper application is no longer required.
So I'll explain it this way. And so the Act 211 piece of legislation specifically stated that the department is only to provide the application in an electronic format. And that's what we are doing today. So we are providing, the Act 211 system was designed to have the permit data submitted to the department electronically. That was all that the piece of legislation stated. Now, at your municipal level, you may have specific ordinances, or you may have specific requirements to keep paper copies of all application materials. You may have some open records requests, which are what are known as RDAs, which are record disposition authorizations. You may have specific requirements at your municipal level to keep paper copies of things. The department does not take a position on that. That's something that you'll have to work with your own legal or corporate counsel to make the determination as to whether or not you want to keep a paper application. But from the department's stance is that we're not requiring a paper application any longer. We only require to adhere to the statute provision of 101.65, which specifically says that you as a municipality only have to submit the electronic permit data to the department. So I would suggest you contact your legal counsel or corporate counsel to make the determination as to whether or not you need to keep a paper application. Now, with that being said, that's sort of the official response. As a side note, I know there's a lot of municipalities that still keep a paper application around for whatever reason. Most of the time they keep them around for, I think I've heard 5 years, I've heard 7 years. I've heard a whole mess of different municipalities keep paper applications around for whatever reason. Maybe a system crashes or they just want to have access to it. Sometimes they attach the application to the original set of paper plans, or the res check documents or whatever else. They keep it in a manila folder or some paper file. That's up to each individual municipality to determine. The department does not have any requirements for it.
Okay, the next question that I have, I think is similar or maybe related to that. The understanding was that not only did the applicant do the online Act 211, but also fill out the state permit application, SBD 5823. Brett wants to know, are you stating that we do not have to have the applicant fill out the SBD 5823?
The SBD 5823 is the paper permit They do not have to provide, they do not have to fill that out. No, they can do it all online. The paper permit is there because municipalities that use option 2 and option 3 still utilize that form today. Most notably, a lot of municipalities that are in territories that don't have access to internet or their connectivity is spotty. And so some of those municipalities use option 2, which is where a municipality uploads the Excel document. So somebody at the municipality, sometimes it's the clerk, sometimes it's the inspector, they actually take the information off the paper permit and put it onto the Excel file, or they take the information from the paper permit if they're using option 3 and they upload it into their own IT software. However they do it, that permit is still available to those municipalities. However, if you're using option 1, which is obviously today's presentation, no, the state does not require a paper copy of the permit. The applicant, you don't have to have the applicant fill out both a paper permit and also do the same thing online. Now, if your municipality chooses to do that, that's fine, but from the department standpoint or the provision of the actual act itself under 101.65, the state does not require a paper permit to be submitted in addition to the Act 211 system. But if that's something your municipality chooses to do, then again, I would recommend you contact your legal counsel or corporate counsel to make that determination. But no, a paper permit is not required. Again, when you put the SBD form, which is the UDC building permit, the paper form online, predominantly for a resource for the option 2 and option 3 municipalities.
The next question I've got is, how do you determine if you're an option 1 or an option 2 user?
Your municipality has been signed up for the various options. So if you don't know, chances are your building inspector, I'm assuming this is probably coming from a clerk, I'm assuming, I don't know who's exactly asking the question, but if I would recommend contacting your building inspector if it's an employee of yours or a third party contracted inspector. Chances are they should know which option you're using. If you don't, you can certainly contact our UDC staff through the UDC website, either Jack Witruba or Lenny Cantor, and you can have them look up which option you are using currently today. And they can provide to you which option you have been signed up for.
Thank you, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see here. I think some of these are. The next question I've got is, I'm already set up as an eSLA user. Will I need to request some additional access for the online building permit system, or will it just be there already?
It'll just be there already. We designed the system, the Act 211 system, when we moved it over into eSLA, we designed it so that you as a municipality don't have to create any new username or password. In addition, we decided not to require any of your permit applicants, again, this would be your homeowners or your dwelling contractors, to create a special login or create a password or anything like that. No, the answer is no, you do not have to create anything special. Again, the access codes that you currently are using to access the municipal workspace will still work in the new system. We try to make this as streamlined as possible with the least amount of changes and the least amount of disruption to you as a municipality. So your permit applicants, again, your homeowners and dwelling contractors, they just go right on to the eSLA website, they click on UDC building permit, and right there they can fill out their permit. In addition to the municipal workspace, which is obviously the workspace you're doing all of your approval and denial of permits, you go to the Act 211 system, you click on Municipal Login, and you enter your access code, and there you can approve and deny all your permits, just like you are doing today, just like your permit applicants are doing today. It's just at a different website to do all that to do all of that work.
Thank you, Mike. The next question I have is, will there be an option to print out an application form filled from the submitted Act 211 to get the builders from not having to fill out multiple forms?
Etta, can you see if there's a, can't remember, maybe Lenny has answered this. I thought there was a way. I thought there was a way to print it from here. Click here for print. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's there. So the option is there available. Once you as a municipality, you can then print off the permit itself if you want to keep it for your own internal paperwork or internal paper record keeping. You can convert it. You can take the permit and convert it to PDF to try and stay paperless. Or if you have a local printer that you want to print it, the application is there for you. All you have to do is just change the destination of where you want to print it to. So I assume that's going to answer the question.
Thank you. The next question I have is, will building inspectors receive a notification when a building permit is complete and submitted?
Yes, they will, just like it is today.
Okay, thank you. All right, and I apologize, this
Oh, I want to point,
question.
sorry to stop you, John.
No, go ahead.
What Etta is showing too here is what she's highlighting is that it's important to note, and I'm glad Etta pointed this out because I apologize, I didn't think of it until Etta just showed it to us here, is that if a municipality, they can opt out from receiving notification that a permit has been submitted. And so in the municipal workspace, when the municipality has access to the municipal workspace, they can click on the box that Etta is showing to opt out from receiving submittal email notifications. If they have it unchecked, they will receive every single permit that comes in. So they will get notified that a permit has been submitted.
Okay, thank you. Next question I've got is from Tammy. Do clerks need to check workspace, or is there an auto-generated email sent? I'm assuming it when there's an application. Do clerks need to check workspace, or is there an auto-generated email sent when? And I'm missing. I think I'm missing part of their question.
I think I know. It's very similar to the answer that I gave before, is that they can choose to opt out from receiving notification. However, I do want to sort of explain a little bit here because I actually have been getting a few questions like this over the past, I would say, a couple weeks or month. So every single municipality is completely different from the next. You could have a small township with a clerk that only works 10 hours a week to a large municipality like Madison or West Allis or Waukesha or Appleton that has a whole slew of people. They have multiple inspectors. They typically have a clerk, a deputy clerk. They probably have a couple administrative assistants. So you get the gist of the idea, the fact that multiple municipalities have multiple sizes. So when developing the system, we decided that we would give one access code or technically 3 that all work the same, but for all intents and purposes, we decided that the municipality under the law is responsible for submitting that permit data. So who at the municipality actually submits that data is up to the individual municipality. So we decided to give one access code to the municipality. That access code could be shared among multiple people within the municipality. So if the clerk has access to the access code, the inspector, maybe a deputy clerk, maybe an assistant, maybe you got another building inspector, who knows who else you got at the municipal level, all of you will have access to that same access code. So any one of you can go into a municipal workspace and take a look at permits based on that one access code. So the reason I want to bring this up is that each individual employee or third-party contracted inspector is not going to have its own special unique access code. I want to point out again that the municipality gets an access code. So whoever you share that access code will have access to the municipal workspace to make all these particular changes of opting in or opting out for email notification, putting in the clerk information, putting in the building inspector information, the inspector's hours of operation, just like it is today. So whoever has that access code has access to the municipal workspace for that municipality, and there they can check all the necessary permits or what's been submitted, what's been filed, what's been approved, the whole works. However, I do want to stress is that us as the department, once we give you guys an access code, who you share that access code internally with you and your staff or your third-party inspectors, that's up to you. We don't manage that. We just give you as the municipality the access code. Well, we give you technically 3 access codes. Those 3 access codes all will work. And so any people within your organization, your municipality that has that access code, you'll have access to see all of that data, all that permit data.
Okay, Mike, it looks like I got a couple more questions here. Just a couple more popped up. Is the inspector required online to approve or deny a permit?
Yes, for option 1, yes, you are required to approve or deny the permit online if you're using option 1. And so the reason for this is that if you approve or deny a permit on the Act 211 system, that data is automatically submitted to the department, and then you have adhered to statute 101.65. You have met your legal obligation to submit the permit data to the department. So technically it's only for approved permits, not denied. But for all intents and purposes, yes, you should be approving or denying your permits on the system if you're using option 1.
Okay, thank you. Let's see here. And I just popped up a couple of answers. Someone asked if the website was still going to be active, and to reiterate, it's not our website that is shutting down. It is the old system that will be decommissioned after July 15th.
Correct.
Roy's got a question here. Is there a way to track or audit access to the site?
Track or audit access to the site.
I'm assuming he means the eSLA site.
I'm not sure I fully understand if he's referring to tracking and auditing of the people that actually go into the municipal workspace. I'm not sure I fully understand that question.
Okay, let's see if he can get back to us on that, Roy. Let's see here. Looks like David has got, oh, wait a minute, maybe here's the second. It looks like Roy's got another question. He asked if multiple people have access with one code, can we know who actually approved or denied a permit?
Technically, yes, and technically no, and I'll explain. Technically, yes, because at the time the municipal inspector approves the permit, they have to put on their UDC credentials. So we'll have access in the back office and our portal, our back office portal. We know what inspector of record approved the permit. So that answers yes to that question. The part that I want to say no to is that if you want to see who was all in there looking at permits, or maybe, you know, just fuddling around or changing clerk information or changing the opt-in or opt-out of emails being notified, the answer to your question is no. We do not track and audit that information. Going back to my previous answer is that we give the municipality one access code. So that access code may be used by multiple people within your municipality. So it's up to your municipality to, for lack of better phrasing, create its own policing of who has access to the system. Now, some municipalities I know only have the inspector have access to the system, and that one inspector is the only person that actually accesses the system for the municipality. I know of other municipalities where I know there's a deputy clerk that goes in there pretty much every week and monitors all of the permit activity. And I do know in that particular municipality, they also have multiple inspectors. They have a plumbing inspector, they have an electrical inspector, they have a building inspector, and they all have access to the system, and I know they're all in there. Now, that particular municipality that I know, who will remain nameless, I know they do, I think it's like 100 to 150 permits a year. So they got a multitude of people in there all the time. But in terms of us as a department, we don't audit or track whose fingers were in there. Again, what Etta is showing you on the screen, we do have record of who actually approved the permit. And by law, the permit has to be approved by a dwelling contract, or a UDC inspector. So we do have record of who actually approved the permit. So I'm not sure if that fully answers your question or not.
Roy is also asking a follow-up, can the code be changed due to a change in employees?
Yes, you can certainly request new access codes. So for example, if a municipality, or I'm sorry, if say a municipal inspector quits or leaves, just throw that out there as an example, or say abruptly leaves, the municipality can certainly request new access codes. So to shut off from that particular employee from having access to their data. And they can certainly do so by contacting our UDC staff, and our UDC staff will provide new access codes to that municipality. So yes.
Okay, and also speaking with regards to codes here, there was a question that how do we as a municipality obtain the assigned access code? And I believe you indicated that you can have them contact our office. We'll be happy to get that set up for them.
Correct. Our UDC staff consultants at Jack and Lenny do that pretty much every day. So
awesome.
Yes, they will take care of all that.
And if they currently have municipality, or we as a municipality currently have 3 access codes, will our same codes be valid? And I believe you answered that already, that yes, they will be.
Correct.
Okay. Just responding to these additional, looks like I've got one more question here, and it's kind of a long one. Municipalities often require the permit fees to be broken down for each trade, which typically the Uniform Building Permit Application SBD 5823 form is used. This then requires us to have the applicant also fill out this form. It would be nice to be able to have the online system to print out the applicant contractor information in the SBD 5823 format so that it could be used at the local level rather than having to fill out another application form. Was that
Okay.
something that we answered already?
Yes and no. I think I'll dissect this, and I'll kind of reiterate what I stated before. What you guys do at your own local level in determining how fees are broken down, or what kind of information you want broken down, and how you get that information from the submitter, that's up to you and your municipality. To be honest with you, the department doesn't take a position on that. You know, we provided the SBD 5823 form, which is the UDC building permit form. We provided it to sort of try and be a catch-all for every possible potential situation. And what we did with that particular paper form, again, that paper form has been in existence since, it's changed over the years, but it's been in existence since 1980, June 1st of 1980 to be exact, or a little thereafter. So we tried to incorporate every possible scenario that maybe a municipality like yourselves could accomplish basically every situation that you could probably think of. Like I stated before, every single municipality does things just a little different than the next one. Some require a whole litany of broken out of fees. Some require some additional information, predominantly for zoning or things like that. But there's a whole host of things the municipalities do at a local level that's probably different than their neighbor. And so when we designed the Act 211 system, we have the fees there. Now, you guys can use that information as best as you think that you can use it for. So for example, I know we have a thing called, I believe it's other fee, if I'm not mistaken. And so your other fee, if you want to summarize all the other fees, such as if you break down electrical fees and plumbing fees, and you have some other fees like driveway access or FDC access, or, you know, all these other potential fees that you guys are collecting at municipal level, we as a department don't break all that stuff out on any permit form. If you want to do that at your local level and require it of the permit applicant, you certainly can do so. However, we're not going to change the form for every single situation.
Thank you, Mike. Looks like I've got just two more questions. Will I, as a person processing the permits, still have to enter my complete data, or will I be able to just enter my cert number and it will auto-populate like the other trades?
Oh, at the approval stage, I don't think it will auto-populate. I think in the future we may do that, but I don't think it auto-populates the data, unfortunately. You still have to kind of manually put in your name, cert number, you know, all that information. Maybe in future phases or releases, maybe we'll get to that point, but currently at this point in time, no, it does not auto-populate.
Okay, thank you. And looks like I may have just one more question. Oh, I apologize. Just when we get to the end, there's a couple more that pop up. if we have a contractor that has no access to a computer or refuses to use the online system, can the inspector or clerk complete the application for them?
The department does not take a position on that. That's up to you and your own municipality. I would suggest contacting your legal counsel or corporate counsel to make that judgment call. I know there are some legal things there, but the department, in adhering to statute 101.65, we do not take a position on that. That's up to each individual municipality. I do know there are some municipalities that do that, but we as a department cannot, say yes or no to whether that's legal or not legal. That's something each individual municipality will have to make that determination.
Thank you, Mike. And can the state make the contractor's phone number be a required field on our form? Apparently at this time it is not.
Yeah, that's been tossed around. I know that that's been asked. I know we have a whole litany of other requests similar to that, and that list is compiling. We do have it, and I don't have an answer as to if that's going to happen or not, but I do know that is one of the requests that I have been hearing. In addition, I've also heard the email address being required too. But to answer your question right now, no, it's still not required. But again, maybe in future phases or releases, maybe we will make that functionality happen to require the contractor's phone number.
Okay, thank you. Let's see here. Next question I've got. So an inspector can only issue a permit for the categories they are credentialed for. Construction inspector cannot issue a plumbing permit. Is that correct?
Well, no, yes and no. I'll say the reason I say yes is because under the law, we've taken the approach that if the UDC construction inspector can approve the permit, the holistic permit, where we take the position on is that if that UDC construction inspector is not licensed as a UDC electrical, then they can't inspect the electrical. And obviously, conversely, if they are not licensed as a UDC plumbing inspector, they can't inspect the plumbing of that home. However, a UDC construction inspector can approve the permit, the holistic permit. Now, if you as your municipality, you break down all those separate permits, let's say if you just have the homeowner or the contractor only pull an electrical permit, it's probably within your best interest to have a UDC electrical inspector review that permit before you approve it. Again, I would probably suggest that you contact your legal counsel to make that legal determination. In addition to that, there's also the provisions out of the license itself and the requirements or the responsibilities of the license, which is listed out of SBS 305, which is about those credentials. So I would recommend reviewing those to verify if you do have the authority to just do an electrical permit for an additional alteration. But again, if you're doing a new 1 or 2 family dwelling, then you have to have all of those systems in one permit. You can't break them out into separate, because the law requires it to have all of it. Now, some plans or some buildings don't have electrical, some don't have plumbing, such as like a based on a religious endeavor or something like that, which there are provisions within the code that address that. But for all intents and purposes, a UDC construction inspector could approve a holistic permit. It's just the inspections part of it they can't do.
Okay, I've got one more question here. Will an inspector be notified from DSPS when an application has been filed?
Yeah, we covered that before, that they can opt to have those permits being submitted. That the permit, once the permit is submitted, the inspector gets notified of that permit that has been submitted.
Thank you. I know we're running close to the end of our allotted time here for today, and I am just scanning back through to see if I may have missed any of the questions. So I think I may have gotten some answers. If I failed to answer your question, please pop in and ask again here. I've got quite a few questions. I'm trying to scroll through to see if I've gotten everybody. In particular, David's questions, making sure I've got those answered.
There was one earlier. Can you make a spot where we can receipt the issue permit when paid?
Sorry, Etta, can you repeat that?
Can you make a spot where we can receipt the issue permit when paid? I'm not sure I fully understand the question, but there is a place where you can check that the application has been paid for.
Yeah, so yeah, if you scroll down, Etta, so on the left-hand side, there's a, now scroll up a little bit, Etta, right? Go back to the, I think I know the question. So when the inspector is filling out this approval screen to approve or didn't, well, let's just talk about approval and we'll talk about denial. They're filling out, the permit information such as the appropriate fees. And so the municipality, how they collect those fees, that's up to them. But at this point in time, they approve the permit by filling out all the appropriate information such as the permit seal and the inspector's credential and which issue and jurisdiction and the appropriate fees. And once they approve it, it's been approved by your local municipality. Now, how you receipt the actual fees, I know there are a multitude of different ways. Some municipalities still use the old check system where the submitter comes in and submits a check, and the clerk or whoever at the municipality, obviously receipts that check. In addition, I know some municipalities use credit cards and they have some receipting mechanism to actually receipt the receiving of those individual fees for that individual permit. Each individual municipality is very different than the next. So again, our system under the law does not require any receipting of financials from the municipality aspect. So therefore, we don't have any functionality for receipting of any fees that have been collected. And neither do we require the fees to be actually displayed here. This is something for you and your municipality to use for your own record keeping, but we do not have any feature or functionality to receipt fees back to a submitter or receipting of documenting of the receipt of the actual fees from the submitter.
Okay, looks like I've got two final questions and then we'll be at our time and we can wrap this up. Looks like Kelly is asking, I cannot approve permits now that the municipality is required to have an agency number. I have not received that number yet. What can I do?
I'm sorry, John, can you repeat that real quick?
Sure. This person cannot approve permits now that the municipality is required to have an agency number and they have not received the number yet. What can they do?
I'm not sure if, I assume that she's referring to the municipality number. If that's the case, I would suggest contacting our UDC staff, either Jack or Lenny, or submitting the question to the UDC tech box. We'll have our Jack and Lenny and look at that, and we can have them provide that number to you.
It looks like the follow follow-up is the state contracted inspection agency number is not in their system.
Oh, the state contracted agency number, inspection agency number is not a required field. However, if that number is actually the credential number of your UDC inspection agency credential. That's what that number is referencing. It's not a required field, but that's what that number is referencing. So whatever credential number you've been received from the department for your UDC inspection agency credential is your number.
Okay. And of course, bear with me here just a moment. And this is with regards to notifications. Can a clerk also get an email notification, or can this only go to the inspector?
That is a great question. It's a great question. I can't remember. I don't know if Lenny, if you know the answer to that question or not. I can't remember if we designed it so that it could go to both the clerk and the inspector. Lenny, do you know the answer to that one? Yeah, it looks like. That's a good question. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I thought it was only for the inspector. Unless Deloitte, Mike, do you know if it can go to both?
It's your current functionality, and the functionality moving forward right now is just to go to the inspector.
Right, yeah, okay, that's what I thought. So it's just going to the inspector. You could change it to the inspector name or inspector email. You can change that to your clerk email if you want to do that.
Okay. Let's see if I've got. All right, let's see here. If the construction inspector must issue a full permit for building, electrical, HVAC, and plumbing, how does the municipality handle this if those subcontractors typically apply for their own permits at a later date?
Yeah, I can only state what's in the UDC code, and the UDC code specifically says that it's one permit. It's not multiple. I know some municipalities do it that way, and technically are not supposed to be doing that. UDC code is written in such a way that it's supposed to have all the permits, all the trades on one permit, and that's the way the permit system was designed to adhere to UDC code. So I can't answer it other than the fact that the UDC code specifically says that you have to have plumbing, you have to have electrical. Now, if some buildings don't have electrical, some buildings don't have plumbing, which is fine. But predominantly the majority of buildings out there, at least new 1 and 2 family dwellings under law, have to have all the trades under one permit. And that's written in SPS 320. You can certainly go back and look at it. I don't want to spend a lot of time today on talking about that, but it is listed there.
Okay, that takes us here to the end of our time today. I know we've got a couple more questions that have come in. We will try to get back to those individuals with those questions unless we've got a couple of minutes yet. We can still try to answer them.
I guess we could, if everybody is okay with that, they can certainly stay on. Again, I wanted to try and be cognizant of everybody's time. I know this is mid-construction season and I know everybody's busy, so yeah, we can certainly stay on. Again, this will be recorded. So if you have to drop off, you can certainly do so. The recording will be available on our website at some point in the future. I don't know when, but it will be available. So we'll try and answer the question if we can. Of course, you can always go back and look at that or view that presentation and hear our answer, I guess, to that particular those particular questions.
Okay, let's see. I'm just seeing here if I've got another question or two that we can answer, or if we need to respond to those later. Currently, the program will not print the permit card until after we check the permit is paid. Can this be changed to print the permit card at any time?
No, it has to be, you know, once the permit has been approved, that's when you can print the permit card stock. We designed it that way because technically we can't issue a permit card unless it's approved permit.
Okay, thank you. In the approval section where it says permit issued, we usually do not check plumbing and electrical because they are separate permits. Are these fields required to be filled in? I know the contractor information is required.
Yeah, it
Is that
is
a question
required.
that
It is required. Now, caveat to this, and yeah, I don't know if I want to explain this or not. Some municipalities, I guess for lack of better phrasing, they sort of, what they do is they'll issue a construction permit because sometimes the owner doesn't have the plumber figured out or doesn't have the electrical contractor figured out, or sometimes they don't even have the HVAC guy figured out yet, or gal. And a lot of times what they'll do is they'll just issue a construction permit and they'll follow up with an electrical or plumbing permit later on, and they treat it as an addition or an alteration to an existing permit. Some people do it that way. Again, that's up to each individual municipality. However, technically, the only thing I can say in the official stance as the department is that we follow the UDC law, and the UDC law specifically says it's a one end all be all permit that's supposed to encompass all the trades into one permit. That's the way the law is written. Most of you inspectors should probably be very familiar with SPS 320 and how it's written, but the way it's written is it's one permit that covers everything. Now, again, if your municipality chooses to do things just a little bit different than SPS 320, again, I would recommend, and this is the department's position, that you contact your legal counsel or corporate counsel to make sure you're adhering to the law the way you guys are doing things at your own municipal level.
Okay, looks like I've got one last question that we can answer here. Has it been fixed as to what trade boxes are checked in the hard card? In the past, it checked what the applicant entered, not what the inspector entered.
I will be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure about that. I guess we will have to look into that. I do know that the applicant can choose which particular I guess, permit types they want. But at the approval stage, the inspector can change those. Now, what actually gets developed onto the permit card, I will have to look into that. Unfortunately, I think this is the first time I've heard this. So we will have to look into that. And again, I don't think I don't think we'll be able to change this by July 19th. nor do I have any deadline as to when or timeline as to when that would occur, but it could potentially, we could change that if it is an issue. We'll change that in any future phases or releases.
Okay, well, thank you again to all of our presenters today that were able to spend their time with us. Looks like we've gotten to the end of the questions here. I believe we've answered all of them. If not, please do contact our office directly and we'll get answers to your specific questions. I don't have anything else. If you don't, Mike, how about?
No, I do appreciate everybody joining us for the webinar today. A couple of things I want to just point out again. One, this presentation is recorded, so it is available for you to go back and look at. Again, it will be available on our website sometime in the near future. So I encourage you to go back to our website and review it. In addition, if you need any assistance whatsoever or have any other additional questions about the department moving the Act 211 system, the current system, into eSLA, or any of the timelines or any other questions that your municipality has, please reach out to our UDC staff. You can also reach out to Jack and Lenny if you have a personal relationship with them, or you can certainly send a general question to our UDC tech box. Again, we will try and answer them as quickly as we can. Again, we are kind of knee deep and buried into getting this, all of the job aids, the user guides, and our website redesign for the July 19th go live. So again, be patient with us. We'll try and answer your question as soon as we possibly can. And again, I think just to reiterate, if you didn't hear it in the beginning, the existing Act 211 site will be shut down on July 15th and will not be available until it gets into the new system on July 19th. So there will be a blackout period. So when you're working with your individual homeowners or contractors, or even for you as municipal inspectors and clerks, if you're approving permits in the back off or in the municipal workspace, you will not be able to do anything during that blackout period. So just keep that in mind. So with that, I guess it concludes today's webinar. I thank you all for joining us today. Hopefully everybody here on the call has a safe and wonderful work week. Thank you, everybody.